forgive you for this.
We might have a lead on what happened to Lily.
We feel like we should check it out.
Yeah, of course. Do whatever it takes to keep the family safe.
So Matt Clark is free.
Just disappeared. Once he was released, he took off.
That means he could be anywhere. He could be on this ranch. How is this happening again?
The Young and the Restless, YNR, spoilers for Monday, March 9th, reveal that Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, will strike a deal with Patty Williams, Stacey Hayduk, and hope it pays off. The Abbotts will also get a new lead to follow as they contemplate Jack's kidnapping drama back in Genoa City. YNR fans know Jack is trapped on a yacht thanks to Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, who wants Chancellor signed over to him ASAP. Unfortunately, Chancellor isn't Billy's to relinquish since Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, is still in charge of it. Billy will give Phyllis the news of Jack's abduction and insist she has to lock in his Chancellor contract immediately. However, Phyllis may argue that Victor is bluffing or even suspect Billy's playing a twisted game of his own. Billy will insist Victor indeed kidnapped Jack and will think Phyllis knows exactly what he's capable of. Phyllis may not be willing to give Chancellor up, so Billy might warn that Jack's blood will be on her hands if anything happens to him. Meanwhile, Patty will no doubt have a shocking story to tell when it comes to how she ended up on Victor's yacht. It's clear that Patty is in a better place mentally than the last time fans saw her. That said, Patty still has a dangerous side and most likely hasn't been fully rehabilitated. Patty's obsession with Jack will apparently be back in full force, so Victor may be using that to his advantage. Of course, Jack can use it too, and will ultimately start trying to cozy up to Patty a bit. Jack may complain about being locked in that room for too long and suggest they could have more fun together if Patty gives him the grand tour. Patty will push for a kiss in return, so Jack will promise one if she'll indeed show him around the yacht. If Patty lets Jack out of the sleeping quarters, perhaps he'll be able to find a phone that he can use to contact his loved ones. Jack might also butter Patty up and get her to admit he's on Lake Michigan like he suspects. Whatever the case, Jack might have a chance to reach out to Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, with a message, especially if he can point to a certain marina. Billy will seemingly mull over a text on his phone at some point, so he'll tell Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, about it. Although Billy will worry it's meant to throw them off the trail, Kyle and Diane will think they have no choice but to follow the lead and see if it's legit. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the Abbotts will do everything in their power to help Jack, so stick with the CBS soap. In the wake of Victor Newman's most desperate and heinous act yet, the Genoa City landscape is fraught with tension as Monday, March 9th, unfolds, bringing with it a bizarre and high-stakes encounter between Jack Abbott and his old flame, the unstable Patty Williams. The week prior ended with the terrifying revelation that Victor, in a bid to reclaim Chancellor Industries from Billy Abbott, had resorted to kidnapping Jack, spiriting him away to a secluded location on the water. As Monday's episode begins, Jack's world remains completely upside down. Waking up in a luxurious but locked stateroom, his worst fears are confirmed when he peers through a porthole to see nothing but an endless expanse of ocean. He is not just a captive, he is stranded on a yacht in the middle of nowhere, a pawn in Victor's dangerous game of corporate warfare. The air is thick with salt and uncertainty, but the biggest shock is yet to come when the cabin door finally swings open. Standing before him, a ghost from a past life, is Patty Williams. Stacey Hayduk reprises her role as the perpetually troubled Patty, and her presence on the yacht immediately elevates the situation from a simple kidnapping to a psychologically complex powder keg. It is a masterstroke of cruel irony on Victor's part, placing Jack in the hands of a woman whose obsession with him once nearly destroyed her sanity. Patty, however, is not the frantic, sobbing woman Jack once knew. She appears eerily calm, composed, and seemingly in control of their floating prison. She explains to a stunned Jack that she is his caretaker, a job given to her by Victor Newman, a man she once despised but who has apparently given her a new sense of purpose. Jack, ever the diplomat even in captivity, tries to appeal to the woman he once knew, urging her to see the madness of holding him against his will. He pleads with her, reminding her of their shared history, hoping to spark a flicker of the compassion he believes still exists within her. Patty listens, a wistful smile playing on her lips, but she is not easily swayed. She tells Jack that for years, she felt he owed her something, his love, his attention, his guilt. Now, she has him all to herself, with nowhere to go. It is in this twisted dynamic that the episode's central, bizarre bargain is struck. Jack, understanding that brute force is useless, uses the only tool he has, his charm. He knows Patty has always craved his affection, and he leans into it. He tells her that if she is to be his jailer, the least she can do is show him his prison. He asks for a tour of the yacht, a chance to feel the sun on his face, and see if there is any possible escape. In return, he offers her something he knows she has always wanted: a moment of genuine, intimate connection. The spoiler, Jack trades kiss for Patty's yacht tour, perfectly encapsulates this morally gray area. It is not a romantic gesture, but a survival tactic, a calculated risk. When Jack gently cups her face and presses his lips to hers, it is a transaction. For Patty, it is a dream fulfilled, a validation of her decades-long fixation. For Jack, it is a desperate price to pay for a few minutes of freedom on the deck, a chance to assess his surroundings and perhaps find a sliver of hope. She takes his hand, a victorious glint in her eye, and leads him out of the cabin, leaving the audience to wonder if Jack has bought himself an opportunity or simply deepened his entanglement with a very dangerous woman back on dry land. The Abbotts are in a state of frantic chaos, completely unaware of the bizarre scenario playing out on the high seas. Diane Jenkins is a woman possessed by terror and rage. Having already confronted Victor to no avail, she knows that traditional channels are useless. On Monday, her desperation drives her to seek out an unlikely and dangerous ally, Michael Baldwin. Diane and Michael share a long and complicated history, one built on friendship, but also on Michael's unwavering loyalty to Victor Newman. Diane shows up at the Baldwin's door, her composure shattered. She doesn't ask for legal advice. She asks for a betrayal. She begs Michael to use his position in Victor's inner circle to find out where Jack is being held. She reminds him of their friendship, of the kind of man he is at his core, and asks him to put himself in her shoes. What would he do if Victor had taken Lauren? This plea puts Michael in an agonizing position. He has spent years clawing his way back into Victor's good graces, and a betrayal of this magnitude would erase all of that in an instant. However, seeing Diane's raw fear and knowing the stakes, the seed of doubt is firmly planted. Later, his wife Lauren, who has always had a soft spot for the Abbotts, adds to the pressure. She doesn't explicitly tell him to betray Victor, but she speaks passionately about doing the right thing, about the value of a human life over corporate loyalty. The episode leaves Michael visibly torn, staring at his phone, which holds the contacts and access that could either save